Hi there, I'm Katie Cat, and this is our weekend Astro Tarot. The cards are very telling in a lot of ways. I must say, I think they are referencing the next 2 months. Now, it is April 1st, but this is not an April Fool's joke. But there's a couple of influences that are showing up in the reading today that when I check what's going on by way of transit, it's referencing movements that are going to be happening all throughout the course of April and all throughout the course of May. So I think there are some very interesting times that we are getting ready to walk into. And primarily, what's important for us to think about is that we can't really get attached to outcome, right? Like if you make plans, they may change. And they may change in a way that's completely out of your control. So there's really no use in beating yourself up over it or getting upset at other people because it's a variable of life, right? That wild card that comes in that can greatly shift things and greatly change things. Now, when we look at the cards that got pulled out for today, we have the Magician as our opening energy. And this is an energy telling us the time to act is now. You know, if you feel inspired to do something, you need to trust that you have all of the tools to put it in motion and to listen to that calling if you're getting a kind of inspired idea. Because we're going into this time frame right now where Mercury, which is the planet associated with how we think about things and speak about things, communications wise, it's leaving the tail end of Aries and is going into Taurus, and it's going to be to a conjunction point in Taurus with the planet Uranus on the 20th of April. Okay, and then Mercury is going to move retrograde, and it will be moving retrograde all the way to meet the North Node, which is in, the 3rd degree of Taurus, and it will move back and cross over Uranus again. So we have this time frame where we can get a lot of epiphanies because Uranus as a planet is associated with, lightning bolts and the lightning strike, the light bulb that's going off, right? And then you see something in a flash of understanding. And it could also be very pivotal to conversations. And, wherever Taurus is in your chart, that's where you're going to be experiencing this work, so to speak. Now, the challenge that we have that came in for today is the Page of Cups. Now, we're in a time of reflection, and in so many ways, we are going through a doorway. And when we get through the doorway, we're going to be in another place. It's going to be in a different experience. And so we have to be willing to let go of that which is not serving us. And ultimately, it's our lower nature or, how we self-sabotage ourselves. And we're in this time of reflection, and that is a challenge that we're working with. Now, the Page of Cups is associated with the sign of Pisces because it's a mutable water sign or card, and Pisces is a mutable water sign. We just had Saturn moving into Pisces. So it's basically bringing this area of responsibility. And in this range in our lives, in some area, we're having to level up. And that is a challenge. And in a lot of ways, it's forcing us to let some things drop away if they're not in alignment with where we're going. Now, the ultimate outcome, or the way through the challenge, I should clarify, is the Three of Pentacles. So this is the master craftsman. This is the person who's willing to put the effort and time towards creating their vision for other people to see. And they have that vision, but you have to be willing to apply it and act on it. And particularly because the Magician is governed by the planet Mercury, and Mercury is going to start going retrograde on April 20th. You're going to want to make sure you put things in motion before Mercury goes retrograde, because otherwise things will come back to you, right? And it is quite likely that things are going to be coming back to us for us to rework and to revisit when Mercury is in that space of retrograde, which is like from the 21st of April through the beginning days of May. When is it? Through the 15th of May. So, you know, that period of retrograde is a time where things come back, you know, and some people have old relationships come back. Some people have, you know, old ideas come back, old conversations that need to be resolved and processed might come back because of that interaction between Mercury and Uranus. And, you know, keep in mind that Mercury doesn't always go into conjunction with Uranus and the North Node when it goes retrograde. So this one has a very particular flavor to it, I should say. Now, the ultimate outcome that we have for today, I pulled us 3 cards. We have the Nine of Wands, the Nine of Swords, and the Fool card. So 2 nines, there's, you know, this level of completion or understanding that we're coming to. Now, typically, you know, the Nine of Wands is someone who's learning from past mistakes, and they're also like gathering themselves before they go out and do something, because we see this very clear kind of boundary, and the person looks like they've gone through some trials in life, right? They actually look kind of scuffed up and beat up there. But this is something to consider, you know, when we are going through a situation, what have you already learned? And like, especially, you know, if the upcoming transit of Mercury brings old relationships back or old things, what have you gathered and learned from old experiences? Because it's quite likely that, you know, the person hasn't changed. And so do you really need to revisit this? Is that somewhere you really want to go? And oftentimes, you know, when the universe sets out everything in such a way that something gets taken away from us or something doesn't work, in a lot of ways it is in a help, right? It's there to assist us and to help put us on our path that we're actually meant to go on, so we don't get distracted by those things. So, you know, learn from past mistakes. Did you spend a lot of energy or time in a situation or processing or, you know, going through a situation that really ultimately stole your ability to apply your energy elsewhere, possibly in a way that brought you stability? You know, and this Nine of Swords here we have showing up as well. Now, this is a card of someone who is having a hard time kind of going in a battle in of themselves. And this is why, you know, honestly, combined with this Fool card too, I think a lot of the reading today is referencing the next 2 months, because we have to be conscious of the workings of these celestial bodies and how they affect us and influence us, right? Because whenever there is Mercury that goes retrograde, it's a time of review. It's time to slow down and not move very fast. But of course, you know, it's springtime and we want to start moving fast. We want to start, you know, trudging ahead to the things that we feel like are important. And yet there's always that wild card, right? There's always that thing that comes in that you didn't plan for, like the email I got a couple of days ago that was like, surprise, you might need to move in 6 weeks. You might need to move in 8 weeks or 10 or 12, not really sure. I wasn't planning on that. I was planning on like festivals that I was going to be, you know, selling my orbs and my body care products at. I was planning on places I was going to teach. I was planning on, you know, finally writing that book, you know, and creating some kind of stability. But then, right, the wild card came in. And so now I have to reprioritize. And so we have to be conscious of where we have this time frame before Mercury goes retrograde, so that we're not, you know, trying to send out our most important things when Mercury is retrograde, because it's just going to come back to us to rework and redo. So the time for action right now is from April 1st to April 20th, you know, and then we're going to have Mercury going retrograde through March 15th. And Mercury will be quite literally in this dance between the planet Uranus, which is associated with this Fool card. So some kind of unexpected change in some area of our lives that is ultimately trying to redirect us to a path that is more solid for us, because we have Uranus in Taurus right now, and Taurus is a very fixed sign, right? It's solid. It is earth. It's a fixed earth sign. So it's often very stubborn. It doesn't want to move. It doesn't want to shift, like all of the other fixed signs, right? But they are like that more so in their like creature comforts particularly. And we've had Uranus shaking things up in that zone of our lives and our beliefs for a number of years since Uranus moved into Taurus. But we're having a highlight of that, and probably, you know, a more intense ride of sorts over the next couple of months as Mercury goes in between the North Node and Uranus. But I want to, you know, encourage people to reframe it if you're in like a negative Nancy kind of mindset, that the North Node is involved here, which means that, you know, there's something in this that's trying to anchor us to where we are meant to develop in our lives. And so if we can, you know, be aware of where we spend time and expend time and lose time in the mind, and instead, you know, just observe it, but let it go. Instead, put your energy and effort towards that which is practical and right in front of you, and work with the energy that we are stepping into in the next couple of months. Because I think we're all about to go through a lot of change, and hopefully it'll redirect us to a better path. I send you a lot of love and a good wish, and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.